Welcome to Scott Cooks. Today I'm going to be making a chicken cacciatore. This is going to be a little different than the normal cacciatore. We'll call it foodie style. Let's get started. Let's go over the ingredients. I've got 4 chicken thighs, oregano, basil, olive oil, bay leaves, dried, a couple green peppers, some garlic sea salt, some cream of mushrooms, low sodium cream of mushroom soup, and this is just a sample of the tomatoes I'm going to be using. I've got a whole bunch of tomatoes we'll be using. Tomatoes and peppers were just picked from the garden earlier today. And let's go ahead and get this started. First thing we want to do is brown up our chicken thighs a little bit. Alright, to brown up these chicken thighs, foodie on, sear saute, drop that temperature to medium, go ahead and start it up. Foodie gets hot really fast. Go ahead and we're going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil. And we'll just take one of the chicken thighs and just spread that olive oil around with it and hit both sides. Do that with all 4. And we're not trying to cook these. We're trying to get them browned up. And that will not take very long. We've got a real nice sizzle going on here. I'm going to roll one over, see how they're looking. I can go just a few more minutes before we flip them. And while we're waiting on that, we can go ahead and start working on the tomatoes. Alright, we're going to be cooking these tomatoes down a little bit. So first we just want to core them if they're big enough to have a core. So just pop that out. You hear those chickens sizzling over there? Probably getting ready to flip. So I'm just quartering these up. Cleaning up a little bit. And these will be going right in after we remove the chicken. Let's go check that chicken real quick. Yeah, there we go. That's the brown I'm looking for. Let's go ahead and roll these. Perfect. All right, we'll brown up the other side. Keep working on the tomatoes, and then we'll pull the chicken out. Now I've got a mix of different type of tomatoes here. I grow a lot of tomatoes in my garden. These are Romas, so these will help thicken things up. I've got some little cherry tomatoes I'm going to throw in to get things a little sweeter. Okay, I don't like the look of that one. You know, fresh tomatoes, they're not all winners. There's a lot of shortcuts that could be taken, but I believe in cooking my food this way. I'm just looking for the flavor, y'all. And this is how I get it. Fresh, cook it slow. Yeah, I could have opened a can of tomatoes, but I know what that would taste like. And that's not what I'm after today. Or hardly any day. But it would certainly work if you don't have access to fresh tomatoes. Now, how many tomatoes am I using? Well, that doesn't really matter because there's so many different sizes and shapes going on here. So you just use as many tomatoes as you're comfortable with for as much chicken as you're using. Since I'm using 4 chicken thighs, you know, and I know how far down this is going to cook, by the way. So when I'm done, I'm not going to have a whole lot of tomato left there, even though that looks like a ridiculous amount. So I'm actually going to add even more to that. And also, don't forget, we'll be throwing in some green pepper too, but not yet. Let's check those chickens again. Okay. I think they can go a couple more minutes, and I'll go ahead and finish up the tomatoes. When the chicken is browned as much as you're trying to get it browned, which is this is it for me, you need to go ahead and remove it from the foodie. Just have a plate or platter standing by. And we want to leave that olive oil in there. This is why we do it in the order that we do it in. And we're going to leave the foodie on sear saute medium. And we're going to go ahead and add in our tomatoes. Huge bowl of tomatoes. And we're going to begin to make the base for our version of chicken cacciatore. Okay. Now, we're just going to let those simmer for a while until they start to break down a little bit. And this is also a good time to get the spices put in. This is also according to taste, how much you want. You may not want these at all, but I'm going to go ahead with some basil, and I'm using 1 teaspoon basil, approximately. Pretty close. And since I'm not trying to make spaghetti sauce or anything here, I'm only going to use 1 tablespoon of oregano as well. And that will give us a good base flavor. And I'm going to have a grinder here with some garlic and sea salt. So I'm just going to grind in. This is a medium to coarse grind. So I'm just going to give a fair amount because I want that garlic flavor. And we need a little salt in here too for balance because of the acidity from all the tomato. And I can always adjust that flavor profile later after I give it a taste. And I think you can hear it bubbling and sizzling away down there. This is great. And we're going to give this about probably about 15-20 minutes on medium to just start breaking tomatoes down. And in the meanwhile, we'll cut up, I have a fairly decent sized green pepper here, so I think I'm only going to use 1. So I'm going to cut this green pepper up into small pieces, and we'll get that in there as well. Two bay leaves. Let's make it 3. They're kind of small. That's the bay leaves, bell pepper, spices, and tomatoes. Obviously, at this stage, you can add fresh mushrooms. Because I'm using garden tomatoes, I've decided to use the cream of mushroom to help thicken this up, because I know, having worked with garden fresh tomatoes before, I know I'm going to get a little thin, a little soupy, and that's not what I want for the cacciatore. So I'm hoping to thicken things up a little bit and add a little extra flavor to it. I think this is going to come out real nice. And obviously, we're going to add our chicken breasts, chicken thighs, back into the pot. And we'll just kind of sink them down a little bit. Push all of our bay leaves under. And that is that, my friends. We will now slow cook this for the rest of the day, and we will serve this over rice. All right, for the final step, we'll have to make a couple changes here. First thing we want to do is get our pressure lid on. And we're going to have to switch the Foodi out of saute mode into slow cook mode. Now, it defaults to high. We are already boiling in there, so we don't need that. So we're going to switch it to low. We'll set our time. Defaults to 8 hours. So, you know, whatever, 9 hours. It doesn't matter. As long as you get a good 5 to 6 hours out of this. And that is exactly what I'll be doing. Now, it's very important that you put your seal. It's the opposite of all my other videos. It's very important you put your seal, not to seal, but to vent, which is all the way to the right. If not, you're going to build pressure, which is not what you want. We want the steam to escape a little bit so we can slow cook it. I will check back with you guys in about 6 or 7 hours, and we'll make some rice and have dinner. It is now 7 hours later, and our chicken cacciatore is ready, and I've decided to go ahead and make this very, very, very low carb. So instead of rice, we're doing riced cauliflower tonight. Let's go ahead and remove our lid and turn the Foodi off. Chicken cacciatore, done in the Ninja Foodi, with some fresh vegetables from the garden, served over riced cauliflower. Little or no carbs here. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button for me. Don't forget to click the bell for notifications. As always, leave some comments. And I want to thank everybody for watching.